Hi, it's Colleen. It's good to be back with you. Today, we are going to talk about 5 common LinkedIn mistakes as it relates to your network and have lots of conversations about this all the time. Who should I be connected to? Who should I get rid of? Should I delete people? Do I need to get to 500? How do I stay in touch with people? There's lots of conversation around how to build a really great network. So I want to cover that today. And of course, Matt's here with me.
Hey
And
Colleen, how's it going?
it's good. It's good. We're going to cover a lot in a short period of time today. So we have a lot to get started with. And Matt, share with us a little bit about your network.
Yeah, so when I first got on LinkedIn, one of my goals was to just create as many connections as I possibly could. I had no strategy to who I was connecting with, and so I started gathering lots of connections, kind of trying to hit that 500 plus number. Because I was seeing that on other people's profiles, and it was just kind of a target that I wanted to hit, but I wasn't thinking about who I was connecting with, and that was one of the first things that I learned when I came to Ontario and started going through some of the content that you've created, your coaching material, um, to go back through your network and think about who you're connected to and evaluate, is this a connection that I need to have, and if not, then if I'm not interacting with them or engaging with them, it's okay to remove that connection so that my feed and the people I'm connected with on LinkedIn are people I'm going to get value from connecting with. So
Great. I think your perspective on that is similar to lots of people that I talk with. So, lots of our clients, and we want you to be much more focused on building a really strong network. So, let's jump into 5 of the most common mistakes. Matt mentioned one of them: no strategy for connecting. And this is important. Why do you need a strategy? Well, you want to be focused because LinkedIn looks at the relevancy of your network. What does that mean? They look at who you're connected to, and they will then say, hey, you should be connected to more of these people. So if you don't have a strategy and you're just connecting randomly, that's going to make it more difficult for LinkedIn to give you the right kind of people. We need to be connecting with the right people based on whatever our business objective is. If you're a recruiter, you're going to have a much larger network, and you're going to be maybe across industries because you're recruiting across industries. If you're an in-house recruiter, you really need to think more um, like an external recruiter. So you need to be thinking about building your network, and maybe it's within your industry. However, many in-house recruiters are not thinking like that. They're just filling job requisitions. They don't have a network to tap into when they're recruiting on behalf of their company. If you're in sales, you need to be connecting with your prospects and your customers. Lots of salespeople, really great sales professionals, are not connecting with their clients and customers. And I often wonder why. A lot of times they'll say, well, I don't want my clients to see one another. Easily solved. Close your network down so they won't see each other. So think about the strategy. As a CEO, you're the face of the organization. Maybe you connect with the CEO in the clients and companies that you're working with, right? So you might want to connect with those people on a different level. You might want peer advisory groups within your network. So everybody should think strategically about who they want to be connecting with and make sure that they're building that network. And I think that we forget who we're connected to. So reviewing and continually iterating that network and that strategy is important. The second is that once you connect, you kind of forget those people. So people call us all the time and say, I need more prospects. I need to use LinkedIn as a lead generation tool. I totally get that. My first question is always, who are you currently connected to? So staying in touch, nurturing that first level network is absolutely critical to your success. You need to download those first level connections You need to review them, sort them by position, sort them by company. If you're on the sales side, there are, in B2B sales now, an average of 6.3 people involved in a sale. So, do you only have one contact within a company, especially your largest companies? How do you connect deeper and wider in a company, especially if you're working with very large companies? So think about that. So don't connect and forget. I want you to connect and nurture. How can you reach out to them? You can direct message these people. They are first level connections. So you have the ability to stay in touch with them, watch what they're doing, pay attention. And I think that that's super important, especially on the sales side. Also critical on the recruiting side. Somebody may not be interested in a position you have available today. 3 months from now, maybe they are. So staying in touch with the right people will help you down the road. It's not magic on LinkedIn. You've got to cultivate these relationships, and not everybody's going to be equal in the sense that they're, really important relationships. Some of them are going to be more acquaintances or networking professionals. So think about how you're building that network, but just stay in touch with people. The other part of staying in touch is that you personalize that interaction. The more you personalize on LinkedIn, the better. People are very wary of bots and fake accounts, and so be personal. Do not send connection requests to important people that you would like to be connected to without personalizing that request. I probably right now have more than 70 connection requests in my inbox in LinkedIn, and I would say the vast majority of those, probably 80% of those, are not personalized. I have no idea why that person wants to connect. Matt, do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. And could you actually, one of my hangups was actually on this topic. You mentioned this once before, and I went in and I was trying to connect with somebody, and I couldn't find, like, you have to be on a certain screen to actually get prompted with the message box, right, where you can add where you can add the note. Can you jump in and show that? Yeah. Because I spent 20 minutes trying to figure it out, and if somebody knows where to go, maybe they can just watch us on your screen share.
Right. So, for example, if I just come to, I'm on my homepage right now, who's viewed your profile? And because a lot of people start here, so this is a really easy place to take a look at what we're talking about. So Chris McQueen, first level connection. He just sent me a message this morning. He had a quick question. Here, Kimberly Rice, second level connection. So notice I can click a connect right here. That's going to send off a connection request to Kimberly. It will not be personalized. Best practice is to jump right into Kimberly's profile and hit connect from here, and then add a note. So here, when I go into her full profile, I know I'm going to get that pop-up, which will allow me to put in that personalized note. I might look at her profile, I might see how we're connected, and I just want to personalize it in a really authentic way. I want to sound professionally conversational. I don't want to sound corporate, and I don't want it to sound like a canned message. So do it from their full profile so you can be sure that you can personalize. You can personalize from your phone as well. There's 3 dots that will pop up and says, hey, do you want to personalize this? However, personalizing and writing messages from your phone is a little bit difficult. We see lots of typos when people are doing a lot of correspondence through their phone. It's just easier, small buttons, big fingers, it doesn't work as well. When you're doing business development and recruiting outreach, work from your desktop as much as possible. Matt, does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So let's head back. I just want to keep those going. So little to no personalization. I want you to think about how you can personalize and be really authentic on LinkedIn. This is probably one of the most overlooked and most common mistakes. People are not looking for their centers of influence in LinkedIn, in their network. And I define a center of influence as someone that you know, like, and trust. They know, like, and trust you. They have a good network and they know how to use LinkedIn. And this is particularly important if you are on the business development side, but can be equally as important on the recruiting side. Identify your centers of influence. And when I talk with clients about this, I just ask them to identify 5 to 10 people. If someone sends me a list of 85 or 100, and people have done that in the past, centers of influence, I immediately know that they're missing the mark on who that center of influence is, what that means. They have to be people that you really know, like, and trust, because they do want to help you, but we have to make it easy for them. So let's identify 5 or 10 people in your network who are centers of influence. If they have an open network on LinkedIn, you can then go in and see who they're connected to that might be beneficial for you to be connected to. So turning your network into a referral engine is really the ultimate goal for, I think, 95% of the people on LinkedIn. This is one way to accomplish that. Matt, have you gone in and identified centers of influence?
I have, and it started with kind of going through my client base, because the strongest sale tool for me is a referral. It's like that for a lot of B2B businesses, but identifying my clients with larger networks and staying connected with them. LinkedIn's a great tool to kind of have a touch with them, engaging with their content, and then they'll, engage with my content, and it just kind of creates more interaction with those people, and then they're more willing to bring up my name if somebody compliments them on their website, or something like that. So yeah, I have.
I love the idea that clients become centers of influence. That is the best referral, and they should absolutely be among your centers of influence. And the other side of this is ultimately, I think each one of us should become a center of influence. How can you be the person that others in your network, people you're connected to, whether it's in LinkedIn or not, they turn to you and say, hey, I'm looking to talk with somebody in this area. Do you know anybody? Who would you recommend? You becoming a center of influence creates stickiness, creates greater value for the relationship. So become a center of influence. Be genuine. Follow up with that. As an activity, and this might be a great activity to kick off the new year, is spend 20 minutes once a week introducing 2 or 3 people in your network to one another. Unasked, right? Like, they haven't asked you to do that, but because you know each of them, you create that introduction. The first thing that happens when you create an introduction is that they talk about you. That's probably not a bad thing. So think about doing that really proactively. Seek to become a center of influence. And I talked about having no strategy for your network, and I want to kind of wrap that around to no strategy for building a diverse client or candidate-oriented network. In your current role, you can serve as a recruiter and a business development professional, even though that may not be your full-time role and responsibility at your company. Have a strategy. Understand what the strategy is for your company and how can you help them support that. Hiring is one of the most difficult areas right now. And so as your company is trying to hire more, engineers, project managers, business developers, IT professionals, you might have some of those people in your network. So how can you help facilitate and fit your network to the strategy of the company that you work for? I think this is something that we need to kind of switch our mindset on and sort of open up our networks to help the companies that we're currently working for. Especially on the hiring side, this is absolutely key. So these are 5 of the most common mistakes that I see over and over again when talking with people just at networking events or clients of ours, people that we've worked with through the years. And these struggles can actually be overcome pretty easily. Focus on one of these areas. Maybe they don't all apply to you. Focus on one and work through some strategies for how you can turn these mistakes into assets. And the number one thing that you can do is to become a great center of influence and be a great connector for others in your network. So Matt, that's all I have on these 5 networking mistakes on LinkedIn, but hopefully people take some takeaways from this and get started as they think about their network and how they can better use LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say if you're watching and or you're watching this after we went live, if you subscribe on YouTube or if you follow us on Facebook, you'll get notified when we're going to go live. And please send us topics that you would like us to cover, questions you may have. And then after this live stream, we will be doing a live stream on our membership website as well, Inside. So you can find that through the Intero website. There's a link in the main navigation to get to Inside. And we're going to be covering content, I think, today. So strategies on developing and sharing content, engaging with content, best practices there. So head over to Inside to check that out. If you're already a member or think about doing our free trial. And yeah, so.
I think that what we're set to do here is continually educate people on how to best use LinkedIn. There's so much noise around LinkedIn right now, and automating and, using lots of different extensions and kind of crazy stuff. It's really noisy around LinkedIn, in my opinion. And we've been doing this for a very long time, relatively speaking, almost 9 years. And I think our goal is to provide proactive, practical ways to engage in a more conversational tone and build a network, a profile, and an engagement strategy that will get the results that you need based on whatever your objective is. So head over to interoadvisory.com, check out Inside. It's where all of our coaching and training is, and it is a really great value for getting all of the insight that we've built over the last 9 years. So we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you on the next live streaming session. Take care.